Hi, everybody. You caught me not quite ready for this tonight. It's been a few days since I've done my last live stream. We've had some guests staying from abroad, and the kids have been hanging out and playing. And had one of those days, lots of fresh air, lots of exercise, bit too much food. But I was keen to catch up with you because tomorrow I am actually going off on holiday with the family for a week, and I intend, not guaranteeing it, but I intend to disconnect from the internet for 7 days. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so it's been a while, and I want to give you an update on the house price data I have access to on both sales and lettings around the country, because today on BestAgent we have a bit of a breakthrough with interpreting the data that we've got, and I want to share with everybody, wherever you live in the UK or in England and Wales specifically, my interpretation, my insight of the data from just what we've seen in the last 7 days, which has been a politically tumultuous 7 days. And today we've ended up with a new Prime Minister. So, for all of you who've been following, and by the way, welcome to our new subscribers. I keep forgetting to do that. Thank you very much to all new subscribers. I hope you have enjoyed what you've seen so far. My name is Charlie Lambden. I am the presenter of Moving Home with Charlie and the founder of BestAgent, which is a property site where I hope to bring truth to movers from the murky thing that is the property industry to let people make better decisions when buying home or when choosing an agent. And I am making myself increasingly unpopular with a lot of mainstream agents, but also increasingly popular with a minority of agents who, like me, prefer to deal in truth rather than just spinning stuff to improve their income. So I'm going to start just by talking a bit about the BestAgent data. So BestAgent constantly scans all the properties in the whole country for sale and to rent to see how many there are, how many are going under offer, how many are selling, how many are withdrawn, what's happening to prices. And because there is so much junk in the property data out there, the online property data, there is so much junk, which I'm actually going to explain in a video that I recorded a few days ago that I'm going to publish while I'm on holiday about how the big property sites work. Even though I've been analyzing this price data for a good 2 or 3 years now, it's been incredibly difficult to make head or tail of it because just averages don't tell the story, as you're about to find out with the information that I'll share with you this evening. But nevertheless, the data that we have had was what allowed me as early as February 2022 to first notice a marked change from a seller's market just starting to become a buyer's market in February. And then in May, I saw a much stronger signal. And then in August, I did my video that kind of went a bit viral on this channel about how the 8 reasons house prices were definitely going to fall. And as recently as August, I was laughed at. So 2 months ago, I was just being laughed at by people in the industry. And now they've all stopped laughing because I pretty much called it right. So at the risk of sounding a bit like the shipping forecast on Radio 4, I'm going to read you the price changes in about 18 counties or London boroughs just in the last 7 days in both sales and lettings, because I think it's actually the fastest way for me to paint the picture of what's happening out there, which is there's absolute mayhem going on behind closed doors in the property market, both in estate agents and in conveyancers and in mortgage brokers. There is a maelstrom of turmoil, not panic, but turmoil. So let me read these prices out to you, okay? And bear in mind the political instability we've had with Liz Truss resigning, Rishi Sunak, just without even a vote having to happen, is now our Prime Minister. Apparent stability returning to the financial markets. So here's what I got. I'm going to start with. So Croydon, average sales price down 3%, average lettings price up 3.4%. Cheshire, and this is the biggest faller. Average asking prices in Cheshire down 11.2% in 1 week. It's across 8,000 properties, to give you an idea of the numbers. And lettings prices in Cheshire down 4.1% in a week. Cornwall, asking prices on sales property up 9.8% in a week, and lettings prices down an unrealistic sounding 27% in a week. And I'm just going to pause at this point and interject with something, because one of the things that I've noticed is when the average asking price across all the properties in a county has moved up, I then look at I've got a lot more detailed breakdown. For example, the average price of just the new listings in the last 7 days. And that's often wildly different to the overall average. And what I've been able to interpret is that sometimes the average asking price movement is affected not by changes in price and not by the new stuff coming onto the market, but by the stuff that's come off the market. So for example, if a large quantity of property at low value is taken off the market, the average price moves up, even though the prices of the property that's still there hasn't gone up. Does that make sense? So there's all kinds of different things that can influence and inform average price moves. And the one thing you should all remember when you're considering property price data is that genuinely movements in the average mean nothing at a local level. Nothing. It tells you nothing. If the average asking price has gone up, it doesn't mean that house prices are rising. It could mean that all the cheaper stuff is sold and come off the market, which makes average prices go up, even though the prices of what's left haven't gone up. They could even have come down, and yet the average price goes up. But that's more to do with withdrawals and set of transactions happening than it is with prices changing, okay? So just, you need to disregard average prices. But having said that, I'm going to crack on because there is an overall trend that you can kind of interpret here. Essex, very large county in property numbers. Asking prices on sales down 0.8% in 1 week. Asking price in lettings down 0.4%. And it's surprising because all but 4 of the counties I'm going to read out, the rental prices have fallen. The average rental prices have fallen in all but 4 of the counties. But again, it's impossible to see what the reason for that is. Let me keep going. Wandsworth, average asking prices down 2.8%, average lettings prices down 3.3%. Greater Manchester, average sales price, this is all asking prices, by the way. Greater Manchester down 0.8% on sales and down 1.3% on lettings. Greenwich, quite a big mover, this one, down 7.4% on sales, and Greenwich down 4.6% on lettings asking prices. Hammersmith, sales prices down 4.9%, lettings prices 0% change. Hampshire, up 2.7% on sales, down 7.7% on lettings. I'm going to stop. You get the picture, right? I'm not going to waste any more time. I've got a bunch more. I've actually got, for every single county in every London borough, I've got these figures for the last 7 days. And we're looking at them every 7 days. And we're trying to work out whether 7 days is actually too short a period. Maybe it needs to be longer than that. I just think waiting for a month and then getting the prices halfway through the following month, it's a bit like, well, that's a bit too late. That's telling us about what happened in the past. And with BestAgent, I'm trying to get my finger on the pulse of what's happening now. I suspect we might end up, because lettings prices move more quickly, so weekly prices in lettings and maybe monthly in sales. I don't know. We're still figuring it out. But I've spent a lot of today poring over these numbers and trying to interpret any meaning into them. And all I can see, having been looking at these numbers for a long time, is that right now there is a complete hodgepodge, mishmash, stew of things happening in the property market. People putting their properties on the market at too high an asking price. New stuff coming on at too high an asking price. Stuff being taken off the market, not necessarily because it hasn't sold, but because people don't want to sell now. They're not going to get the price they wanted. That's influencing the average price of what's remaining. The quantities across the board seem to be that in about 1 week, and this suggests it's quite busy, that between 10 and 15% of the total amount available is changing, coming off, and then coming back on again. Sometimes more, sometimes as much as 20% of the stock is changing in 1 week. that's stuff coming on and going off again, right? So it is a mishmash, and it's one of the things that I really can't wait to start publishing really regular, very local price data. So we've already got it, every single county, every single London borough, and we're going to start publishing it soon. We're still trying to make sure that there aren't any, yeah, I mean, without checking every single individual property that's in this data set every single week, it's impossible to know uh, how accurate it is or how informed it is or what kind of things are influencing it, right? It's a real, I like to call it, it's a million anecdotes, the property market, right? There's just no trend really, except when you look at the long term. And I know that for you guys, national price movements, so what? You only need to know what's happening where you live, where you want to sell, or where you want to buy, right? And that's very much in turmoil all over the country. There's the imbalance between town and country, but no one really knows what's happening. Between sort of holiday destinations and non-holiday, there's the second homes market, the holiday lettings market. What's happening there? A bit of a meltdown. There are landlords now selling up, but at different levels of the market. There are very different things happening at different price levels of the market. One of the things that I think I can see is a lot of people with much higher than average property bringing their property to the market in some places. Because how do I see that? I see that the average asking price in one place is, let's say, 400,000, but the average asking price of the new properties this week is 600,000. Right? Okay, there's a big difference between what came on this week and what's been sitting there for a long time. Anyway, I could go on. I could go on ad nauseam about this property data because it's fascinating and infuriating at the same time. So what does it mean if you're moving now, or wanting to move, or thinking of moving, or in the middle of move and wondering whether you pull out or not? Well, I think the political upheaval and storming of the last few weeks and the financial markets has subsided slightly, but we are still, as Rishi Sunak said in his inaugural speech today, facing, I can't remember the words he used, deep economic problems, turmoil. I mean, it was very, very deep language. He said major economic problems, okay, which I was relieved to hear him say because he's the first leading politician to actually call it that plainly what it is. And what I've been saying for a couple of months is the case in the economy. Even though official figures, I mean, I can't bear the people on Twitter who don't understand numbers and basically won't say anything's real until after the fact has happened and the official figures come out. Yes, guys, it's very easy to talk about facts and what's happened in the past, but what people want to know is what's happening now. So that requires a little bit of insight and interpretation to look at the numbers now. And that's what I do. And I've got no agenda here other than just to try to share insight with people who are making big life decisions. That's my mission here. Okay, so let's get back to the last piece of overview opinion that I gave about moving, which was that if you didn't have any pressing urgency to move, I would be waiting until after the 31st of October at least, and preferably till the 14th of November, because we are still waiting for the OBR report to come out on the 31st of October to tell us exactly how the government is planning to fund its economic plans effectively, and to then see what the money market's reaction is to those plans. We still have no certainty on how the government is planning to fund its plans and how much of it's going to be by way of tax rising or spending cuts, what that's going to mean for the economy, what that's going to mean for public services. We just don't know yet. Rishi Sunak is a little bit of a known quantity because he was a chancellor. That's calmed the money markets down a little bit. Jeremy Hunt is still chancellor. That's keeping the money markets calm a bit, but we still don't know what the plans are. And for that reason, I still think that there is a quiet, but still fairly profound uncertainty over what's happening in the economy in the coming months. And we won't know more for another 7 days, okay? It's 25th of October today. So 6 days, so the 31st of October, Monday next week, that's when that comes out, okay? So I would still be hesitating until at least then and giving the markets 2 weeks to figure it out. If I had no rush, I'd be waiting till January. So one question that would be a very fair question to challenge me with is to say, okay, Charlie, with all of these weird local numbers and very variable numbers in house prices, how do you still know that house prices are going down? And why do you think they are? And has my position changed on that? And the answer is no. Um, you look at so the RICS put out the report. In fact, in the description of this video on YouTube, I put a link to the RICS data and graphs from their September survey, and it is overwhelmingly negative. Almost every single metric is a negative pressure on house prices. What's already happened to mortgage interest rates, even if they ease off slightly, will bring house prices down. What's happened to buyer numbers, which have dropped off a cliff as far as first-time buyers are concerned, and I keep hearing this every single day, more and more people confirming it from within the industry, will bring house prices down. And there are things happening in the future that I think are going to happen in the future that are going to also force more people to sell, which is people coming to the end of their fixed term, people who need to remortgage but can't afford to. All of this will bring house prices down. It is almost a mathematical certainty. And although if you own a house, that's not what you want to hear, it's better to be prepared for the brutal reality that's coming and have time to think about your options and prepare than to think, oh, it's going to be all right, isn't it? Yeah, positive thinking, we're going to be okay, and then find out you're not, and just be the rabbits in the headlights being run over. All right. So whilst there are still question marks over how fast house prices are going to come down, they have already started coming down significantly, in my view, at the coalface of where deals are being agreed, and are going to continue for some time. Right now, I don't know how steep and how sharp and how fast the falls are going to be, because I want to wait and see what the government's plans are. That will inform it somewhat. There may be some good news about gas prices coming down. So the wholesale gas price coming down today, it won't feed through to yours and my pockets for some time, but it will improve stability and the outlook. But the big bad bastard we've all got to watch is inflation. All right. And that hasn't gone away. That's got worse recently. It's predicted to get slightly worse again, possibly by some people. And let's hope it doesn't. But at the moment, inflation is still the enemy, because inflation being high means interest rates go up, which means mortgage rates go up, which means house prices come down. Okay. So not bad news for everybody, of course, right? If you are a buyer waiting to buy, and I know that actually most of you are, then of course this isn't bad news if you're in a position to wait. Some of you are not in a position to wait, and I say again, if you need to proceed, proceed. Just don't overpay. All right. Buy now if you want and if you need. If you found a place you want to live and you've got the finances to do so, just don't overpay. Just don't get yourself in the negative equity trap. That's all I want to say on that. All right. So today there was the Council of Legal Conveyancing, I think it was the CLC, put out that, and I put this on Twitter. So the conveyancing industry is preparing for a massive reduction in transactions next year. So the conveyancing industry is an industry that people view it differently from estate agents, and it is different. But if they are publicly putting out that warning to their members, then that's yet more evidence of transaction volumes falling because of what they see happening in the economy and the housing market. All right. So for people who rely on transaction volumes, the future is not good. So if you're a mortgage broker, if you're an estate agent, if you're a conveyancer, next year does not look good. And the ones who've been listening to me and to others warning of this happening are going to be better prepared, will be okay. And the ones who've been going, nah, shut up, you're a doom monger, they're the ones who are going to suffer. And if there are agents watching this, by the way, you should go to my BestAgent YouTube channel, where there are videos that give advice on how to prepare for this and how to protect a collapsing pipeline, which I hope you'll find helpful. Okay, guys. But if I had to summarize the housing market at the moment, we're in that Mexican standoff. And it would look like maybe the people in Cheshire have been the first ones, the sellers in Cheshire are the first ones to be going, right, we should be dropping our asking prices. I don't know if that's the reason for that big price drop in Cheshire or not. But Even when faced with overwhelming evidence, humans have an amazing capacity to just not believe what they don't want to believe. If they don't want to hear it, they will find a way to just go, no, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I don't want to hear it. And so you've got a lot of what I'm calling silly sellers. And silly sellers, let me just be clear, are people who need to sell, right? For whatever the life reasons are. It's not an option. They actually need to sell. And they are kidding themselves, maybe because the agent gave them bad information as well, maybe not. Because I know a lot of agents go, well, this seller they're just not being realistic. And by the way, if you're an agent with a seller like that, you should disinstruct yourself from that seller because they're just going to waste your time. And these sellers are going to be the ones who lose out because they're going to wait too late to drop their price, by which time the market's already fallen further, and they'll be chasing it down, okay? Those are the silly sellers. The smart sellers are the ones who are going, and listen, guys, if you're a seller watching this, imagine these two scenarios, right? Imagine the scenario where house prices aren't falling and the scenario where house prices are falling. If you put your asking price too high, you might sell if house prices aren't falling for the price that you want or close to it, but you might and you might not if you've got a too high an asking price. But if you price it lower and keener and the house prices aren't falling, you're going to sell really quickly for a great price, right? But if house prices are falling and you don't price it keenly, you won't sell it. And by the time you wake up, it'll be too late. So if you're not getting any offers on your property, that's a big clue that either you've got a really terrible agent or your property is just too expensive, okay? And you need to move fast. Don't be the late adopter, the ones that wake up late and it's too late because, oh shit, everyone else has already dropped their prices. Oh no, we've missed that boat. Now we have to drop it even further, or now we're in negative equity, right? Don't be a silly seller. A good agent will get you the best prices possible to get your house now. Don't just sit there going, nope, we're going to hold out for the price we want, because if you're doing that, you're already too late. I mean, unless you're in a really rare market where you've got a really rare property. There are always exceptions, of course, but generally speaking. And with this Mexican standoff, what you've got to remember between buyers and sellers is that sellers have a choice about how much they lower their price by. The reason that buyers are where they are now is because they're being limited by the lenders. It's not that the buyers don't want to borrow more to buy your property. It's that they can't, because the mortgage offers are coming in with lower amounts being offered to be lent. Okay, so that Mexican standoff, it's not that the buyers are being stubborn, it's that they can't pay more because the lending criteria have changed and mortgages are being property values are being downvalued. All right, so if you are a seller with your house on the market right now and wondering why you're not getting any viewings, it's because your price is too high, which also means you've probably got a bad agent and you should change agents. Go to BestAgent and it will help you find a new one. And if you're a buyer, I would just urge patience. You know, if you don't want to wait until this time next year for the bargain, get out there and be viewing now, because among those sellers are the ones who are going to get real soon. And when that 1 in 10 seller that goes, right, let's just drop the price and get it sold now, if you're not out there, if you're not the one out there viewing, you won't get that opportunity. All right, the really savvy buyers will be out there viewing stuff, even though they know most of them won't accept the offer that you're going to make yet. But roughly, I always say it's about 1 in 10 out of the 10 ones that you view and you put an offer on one, and one of them will go, yeah, I want it sold. All right, guys, I'm going to take a few questions. I'm super tired. My eyes are going all dry, like little piss holes in the snow. Oh, sorry. It's been a very long couple of weeks, actually. I'm looking forward to my break. But let's take some questions. Right. Okay, so here's a question. Let's put it up on the screen. Vava Vroom on YouTube says, hi, Charlie. I'm looking for a house in Bushy, Hertfordshire. I've seen some houses not selling. I'm only looking for 70. Do you think I should wait? Currently have no mortgage and will need to borrow 50k. If you currently have no mortgage, oh, you mean you haven't got a mortgage offer yet? No. So Vava Vroom, it depends how soon you want it. Get out there and start looking. If there are houses not selling, those are the ones you should go and view and see what happens. See if you like them enough, make a low offer. And guys, don't. If you're a buyer out there now and you're nervous about putting in what you think is an offer that's going to be received badly by the seller. Don't forget, agents are professionals at making you think that you can't put in a low offer. Okay, you just need to disregard all of their blah 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 and work out the price, the maximum price you're comfortable with offering. Go, I'm sorry, this is the most I'm comfortable offering on that price. I understand they may not want to accept my offer, but that's my offer, and leave it with them. And often what they'll do is they'll wait and not come back to you for a couple of days to see if you're going to ring up and say, have you got an answer yet? In which case they'll get you to pay more. But if you just sit tight and wait, they will almost always call you back. I've had lots and lots of buyers message me privately asking for advice on what they're bidding on. And all of the ones that I've said to them, look, just put the offer that you're comfortable in, which is, I know that they're going to shake their hands and go, that's too low. Put the offer in and wait. All of them got called back. All of them got called back 2 days, 5 days, a week later. And the agent said, actually, we've had some other buyers pull out now, so maybe the seller's rethinking. Patience is key if you're a buyer. Joe Brown, good question. Is there a way of seeing if a property has been listed, removed, and relisted for sale? Not an easy way, no. But if you're looking and paying attention, then you will spot it. It's actually, there are rules that are supposed to prevent that from happening on the property sites, but there are agents that still will do that. So there isn't an easy way, but just keep your eyes peeled. That's one of the things that we will be making sure cannot happen on BestAgent. Dan says, have transaction volumes decreasing historically always caused downward pressure on house prices? No. Transaction volumes are a consequence of downward pressure on house prices, not a cause. All right, so it's the cause and effect thing. The cause is the downward house prices. The transaction volumes decreasing is the effect of that often. And house prices are falling because of affordability changing. John String says, who provides the data for BestAgent? BestAgent provides the data for BestAgent. BestAgent is basically the tech that we've built is constantly scanning for all available property for sale and to let, currently in England and Wales. Doesn't do Scotland yet, doesn't do Northern Ireland yet. Once we've got it working perfectly, or as well as we can for England and Wales, we'll then roll it out for Scotland and Northern Ireland. But it is our own data set from publicly available data. Hi, Charlie. I made a good offer over the asking price on a property 2 weeks ago, but got played by a estate agent and vendor. Surprise, had a call if you're still interested today. Should you reduce the previous offer or ignore them? My advice is always the same in this situation. So assuming it's a property that you want, work out the property that the price you're happy paying, make that your offer and leave it with them. But thank you, because that's another example, man, of agents calling you back and going, oh, actually, yeah, it wasn't as strong a sale as we thought. Zara A says, if the energy price cap is only in place for 6 months now, will it cause long-term inflation? We don't know yet. We don't know what they're going to do after the 6-month price guarantee ends. We should know more about that on Monday next week. But of course, yes, it sounds like they're going to be making us pay more for our bills after April next year, and that will have a negative overall effect on affordability. Excuse me, let's just have a look here. Thomas Moran, if a house is fairly cheap, could you buy a house with a personal loan and a big deposit? Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about an unsecured loan, if you've got the money, that makes you effectively a cash buyer. If it's an unsecured loan and a big deposit, you're effectively a cash buyer. So yeah, there's no reason you can't do that. William Taggart, here we are. Hi, Charlie. Offer 200k for a house listed 180k in June. Waiting till November to decide, but thinking we'll offer asking instead. I'm sorry, William, I don't understand that. If you offer 200k for a house listed 180 in June, what happened? What are you waiting to decide for? I don't really understand the question. Will you lose your percentage on new mortgage to 8 or 9? Sorry, I don't quite understand the question. You've got to word it a bit more clearly for me because it can be a bit thick sometimes. Jonathan Howells asks, if the economy continues to falter, won't the Bank of England drop interest rates and the crazy high price continue? No. So the Bank of England will only start reducing interest rates after inflation starts coming down. Inflation is the Bank of England's job, not the economy. Right? The economy is the government's job. Inflation is the Bank of England's job. And the Bank of England will always target inflation as its top priority, even if they know it's going to cause recession, which it will if they have to raise interest rates. So it's the only way of stopping inflation. There's no other tool known to stop inflation other tn raising interest rates, which causes, it's just, there's no other way around it. That's why it's always the boom and bust cycle. So no, the Bank of England will not drop interest rates until after inflation comes down, and that's not going to happen for some time, I don't think. Andy B says, I agreed to price for property. However, I pulled out when I heard the market was going to crash. I went back to renegotiate. The agent told me the property has sold. Still listed 2 weeks later. Confused. Right. Exactly. I suspect that somehow, it's very difficult. There's always so many moving parts in these individual situations. But you should ring the agent and ask them why it's still listed. Because I know that agents have been dealing with collapsing pipelines and people pulling out of deals left, right, and centre and trying to hold stuff together. So they will always talk a good game publicly. Go, no, everything's fine. It's all going up. It's all okay. Everything's busy. So just call them up and ask if it's still listed. Why is it still listed? Just keep calling. Oh, Williams is too much vino. Sorry about that. Kelly Bullock asks me, am I still estimating a 35% drop? Yep. That won't change until any major news changes on the economy or interest rates or the government's policies. If that changes, by the way, I will put a video out saying that's changed. Zara A asks about USA interest rates going to double digits. Will we have to follow them? We don't have to follow them. We do tend to follow them. Jonathan Evans says, I mentioned Cornwall going up by 9%, not seeing anything drop here. Anything reasonable is unaffordable. Do I think pre-pandemic levels will come back at some point? Yes, I do. I really do. I actually think Cornwall is going to suffer quite badly in house prices, probably worse than average. All right, guys. Any more questions I haven't asked? Any more questions I haven't answered? Cole B asks me how I like my eggs in the morning. On balance, fried, but I actually like any kind of eggs. Coddled? Who's had coddled eggs? I haven't had them for a long time, but I love them. Scrambled, fried, poached, all good. Omelette. I love eggs for breakfast. Matteo says, is it worth checking your affordability now if you're not planning to buy until next year? It's always worth checking. Yeah, check what your affordability is now. Be one step ahead rather than just waiting. New messages. MT asks me which boroughs are likely to hold up best in London, please. MT, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. London, I do know the London property market very well because of my business involvement with agents in London for the last 20-something years. And what I know is that every borough of London behaves differently for different reasons. They've all got their own micro market, okay? And I don't know off the top of my head which ones are going to do better or worse. But what I will be doing is publishing borough prices regularly. Yeah, Joe Brown, look up what a coddled egg is. Pretty special. I haven't done them for a very long time, but they're good. You need a special piece of equipment for it. Just looking for more questions here. Why is it good news for buyers next year around spring? I think that at the moment, I'm saying that next year around spring is roughly how long it will take for enough sellers to wake up and smell the coffee and drop their prices enough that there'll be more good value property purchases to be had. I don't mean that it's suddenly going to be great, a great time for all buyers, but those proactive buyers who've been out there looking and have got to know their market, come the spring, we'll start to see a few more good value deals coming onto the market. If anyone's able on YouTube to block that person talking about a dating site, that'd be really cool. I'd appreciate that. John Rocks, thanks me for my insight. You're very welcome, John. Zara A asks me, am my house in Dagenham, a London borough? I could have a very, very quick look at London Dagenham and tell you what's happened in the last week. So this is hot off, and I can't. That didn't work. Why didn't that work? What's the actual borough called? It can't be Dagenham. Sorry, that didn't work. Truth Speaker says, what if people just do what they did in COVID and don't care? I don't know what you mean by that. What did they do in COVID? William McTaggart says, thank you very much. These videos have been a great help to me on part of the past few weeks. Thank you. You're very welcome, William. Appreciate it. Right. Hold Yourself asks me, what do I think of Rishi as Prime Minister? Okay. It's really important. I'm never, ever going to let this channel become a political channel. And I don't make political commentary and observations. I don't make party political commentary observations. What I will do, the only thing I will do on this channel is make observations of competence and policy of the government. Okay, because I have political views, of course I do, but that's not what this channel is for. So I'll answer this question in the context of what do I think of Rishi as Prime Minister insofar as the housing market is concerned. I think that there is a short-term benefit, but a medium-term massive risk about Rishi Sunak, because he has just taken on arguably the worst set of circumstances that any prime minister has taken on, I don't know, for a very, very long time. I mean, another way of looking at the story about the fact that there were no other contenders, right? Everyone else pulled out. Is that no one else really wants the job of prime minister right now because it's a shocker. And he's the youngest prime minister for over 200 years. There's no doubt that he's a bright and competent guy. What the moving market needs from government more than anything else, first and foremost, there's a long list of things, but first and foremost, it needs stability, right? For house building to progress and increase, it needs stability. For the money markets and mortgage lending market to function properly, it needs stability, just so people can get on with their lives, so that transactions can get up to good volumes and that kind of stuff. And of course, the moving market needs government support in certain ways, that it helps sometimes. Sometimes the support is helpful for the short term and then not the long term. So, for example, the stamp duty holiday during the pandemic arguably contributed to what we're going through now. So I think that Rishi has calmed the turmoil in the short term, but I think that there are deep problems ahead, and I don't know if he possesses the diplomacy skills. I mean he's a great politician, isn't he? You can tell he's just like very political, very guarded, very careful with what he says. But when it comes to actually herding the cats in his party, I don't think he's got the clout and the authority to do that. He might be relying on others in his party to do that for him, to keep the party together, because otherwise the party is at great risk of falling apart. So I also think that unelected prime ministers, as in prime ministers that weren't brought in by general election, always face greater risks of turmoil, uncertainty, and general elections. So depending on what happens in the next 28 days, the next, like his first 4 weeks in post, it's very difficult to say. Hopefully the powers that be behind the scenes, and I say hopefully because I want stability for the market, will create stability and allow him to get on and do his job as best he can, which will reduce the chances of more meltdown. That will not be good for anyone. Now, I did a survey and over 60% of you said you wanted a general election. And I absolutely agree with that sentiment, that the British people definitely now deserve a chance to choose again who they want to be governed by after the Conservative Party meltdown of the last few months. But when that general election happens is absolutely crucial to stability. And I don't think that a snap short-term general election now will help anything or anyone. I think let this government get bedded in a little bit, at least for a few months, so that a general election, if it does come earlier than 2024 or 25, it's at least done in an orderly way and not a disorderly way that would be bad for the market. Sorry, I've dodged the question though. What do I think? I think in the short term he's going to allow the market to function. That's a good thing because the market's got a bit of confidence in him. In the long term, I don't know. I don't see it ending well. That's all I would say. I just don't see it ending well. Joe Brown says he is dull and dull could be good. That's certainly true. John Major was dull, and he created stability for a while. Let's take another question. Victoria Hamilton, I will talk to you about BestAgent. Just about getting your address in properly, because yeah, there has been a bit of a glitch with that. But I promise you, if you put it in, it will find the agents for you. But I'd like to, if we can have a private message somewhere about that, that'd be great. Yeah, your choice of agent now, anyone, whether you're buying or selling or in a chain, your choice of agent is crucial. You really need a good one. I'm looking for any more questions here, guys. Greg, you said Charlie Boy. What are you going to follow up with that? Guys, I'm going to call it a night tonight. I've been talking much longer than I expected. It's very late as well. Thank you all for coming to this much later than usual live stream. There are unlikely to be any more live streams now for about a week, unless I think something if in the news happens on the 31st of October. If there's anything really shocking and surprising about that fiscal statement on 31st of October that causes an unexpected jolt, I might snap out of my holiday to do a live stream. But probably it's going to be a week. But in that time, at some point in that time, I'll be releasing a video about a pre-recorded video about websites. But otherwise, guys, I'm going to be saying peace out, goodbye. I'm going to be getting offline as much as I can, if not completely, for the next 7 days. The last couple of months have been an absolute roller coaster in a great way, thanks to you guys. Some of you may not know this, but I'm a finalist in the Property Press Awards Broadcast Program of the Year, alongside an ITV channel, a program, and a Channel 4 program. So, I mean, hallowed company, and I'm going to be looking forward to going to that. The awards dinner, I think, on the 14th of November. So that's really, really, I'm very grateful to all of you guys for your interest in the channel. And I'm going to stop rambling on. Otherwise, I'll keep on rambling all night. Lots of love and luck to everybody, friends and adversaries alike. And have a great week until I see you again. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.